Okay, so we're going to do a couple things here today. We know that you do a little bit of everything, and in about a month and a half or two, AIS goes away. So we're going to talk about the whole process. And when I say process, I don't mean where you learn all the pieces. We're going to talk about how you use those pieces for more production. And that's really what Banner is all about when it comes down to it. Then I know it's not done yet. Um, but most of it's set up, or the at least the critical pieces. But now, how do we use it, and what's also available to us? I'm going to talk about the options you have to get the discussion, because it's going to be a little open discussion right now. In Banner, by default, 100, 200 options to run reports. And it's already built in because it's pulling data from everything that's been entered into Banner. And not just by you guys, by how everything has been set up. So I'm going to just show you some of the queries that are available for you to think about how you can actually pull data when you need it. Now, this is a perfect example. For you people in towers, you're going to need probably different kind of data than other people, and so on and so forth. And because you have a different category under campus, right? Your MPC, you're going to want things only for extended studies. So I'm going to show you what queries. Now, as you know, in Banner, you have either modify access or query access, right? Query is only for viewing. Modify, you can edit and update. Well, the word query is also used for reporting. So if you want to query information, you can query the information to run and download a report. And it usually comes in an Excel file. And then you can, do whatever you need to it. So just know that when you start hearing a lot of words, and it's going to start changing now that it's pretty much all in place. So just to give you a little global picture of all that. Catherine, that list of Banner default queries, I'm just going to take that and I'm going to put it in the chat so everyone can see it. So, in talking with Catherine, this is currently the list that I went through. Two of them are not set up yet, but I went through looking for things that might support everything that you do right now. Not again, because this is still being set up, things are going to be changing. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just start going through and showing them to you, because in order for them to work, you have to decide how you want them set up. Now, this is going to be, for you operations people, this is going to be a conversation probably with Brianna or maybe Jennifer Torres on what you can and cannot do. And I'll send this in a follow-up email afterwards, just so you know. But there they are right now, so if you want to follow along with me. So the first one I'm going to start with is academic standing query, SHASTAT. And show you how this works. This is one that you can define the campus. So you put in your term. Oh, just so you know, if you don't put any information in, you'll get everything. You can put your level, you can choose your campus. So, and here's the campuses, right? Your campus is right here. So if I just even click on this campus and I don't put anything else in and I hit go, it does, I need a term, sorry. Let me put in the fall. There you go. There is nothing here yet. This particular query defines academic standing, literally it shows you right there, academic standing and dean's list. And it also the academic summary of students. It'll list all the students that are in this particular standing. And that covers all standings, this one. And then the field of study. So if you wanted to run a report on academic standing for your campus, each one of these can be either more defined, a little more granular level. You can define different campuses inside of extended studies. But this is a great one for if you need a lot of information. But basically, how you pull this information out, and this is the same for all Banner pages, you go over here to, to tools. And when you click on the tools button, you see a list of things. And it pretty much is the same for every form. And under here is export. And if you want to pull the data, you click on export. Now, export is not set up yet, but it exports all the data that will be in these systems to an Excel spreadsheet. And then you can open it and define it however you want. These are great. So you just so you know my background, right? 20 years. I did a little bit of everything. And whenever a department needed a question or had something about a student, I would come to these queries and find out. That way I didn't have to wait for someone to run a report for me. I could have this information in real time right away. So these become a wonderful tool for you to expedite information when you need it right away. All right, so I'm going to click out of that one. And then the next one, electronic process application, SAAEAPS. Any questions on that? Again, some of these you can just click go and it'll show you everything. So I'm just going to try this just so you show this. All right. So it clicked in here. I didn't need to put any information. And that's how you find out if you need to put information or not. You just click. On here, you have a couple things. You have add-on fields. So maybe you want to know an application status of a student or or by term. You can do as much as you want. So if I just clicked application status right now, oops, and it's not right. And let me just say that there's, a process is complete or not processed. Let me just click not processed and see what happens. And it pulls up information. Now, there's not, again, because these are just being set up, there's not a lot of information here. This tells me that a bunch of electronic applications came in. So this would be one, when this is set up, that you can get all the applications that you want for a certain date. And it tells you right here, you could add a date. You can choose a date on what day you want. Say you wanted just today, and you could use this. And it looks like one came through on a B1 today. Again, if you have a position that you need to know how many came through on a certain date, this is the kind of documentation you would use. All right, and this one, I'm just going to do a couple of these because these are really valuable. Then electronic applicant search. Again, we have some options here. What record type do you want? This tells me that over in everything from 2021, remember I'm in pre-prod today, there's 2,339 applicants. They're probably a combination of everything, which means that have to be filtered more to define. Again, click on tools. If I wanted this, I would click export and it would come. The other thing you need to know about these is what you're looking at right now is kind of a very sophisticated Excel spreadsheet. Maybe you want to readjust the information that you have. You have your web IDs, but maybe you want the record type to be next to the IDs. All you got to do is click on the column and move it. And if you see, everything just shifted. I now have web ID and record type next to last name. And maybe I wanted the date of birth before the last name. I click on the birth date and I move it over, and it shows me now web ID, record type, and birth date. You can navigate these. And then when you download them, it will come up the same way. So you can redefine how they look on your screen. This is where the customization part of Banner comes in. And that way it should be there for you next time you come in. So it's a pretty cool thing to do. For you high school, how are we doing? Questions? We're good?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
I was just curious, on that spreadsheet we're just looking at, it's pretty neat how you can manipulate the data via the columns. Do you still need to download that in order to apply any functions or pivot the data?
You shouldn't have to. My guess is eventually the answer to that is no, you should not have to, because they're still setting all this up For right now, I would say to be safe, yes.
Okay.
But eventually, when all this is said and done, no.
Excellent. Thank you.
And yeah, and that's going to save you time. Okay, the next one is for high school people. This is an admissions high school report. I use this one a lot in the registrar's office. You have processes here. I'm going to click on the process just to show you. So a lot of the forms look like this. Think about what you want your values to be, meaning what kind of data do you see? And if you notice here, let me make it a little smaller so it fits on my screen. What kind of printer control? Now, a lot of these you can set to automatically go to a printer. This is great if you once all this is set up and you have 3 or 4 or 5, 6 semesters now work only in Banner. I used to use this because we had a lot of high school students coming in and all the data was always changing. So we used to set this up automatically every morning before we got to the office, and we take it to meetings and so on and so forth. So that's the printer control box. The next one, the parameter values. And this is the kind of information genetically is here, but you can add to them. So the registration term code, you can define. It wants to know what value. So student registration term, do you want this to be spring 2022? You can define these. Admissions entry terms, everyone has certain terms. And if you click on the values, you'll notice that each one of these will take you to a very large window. So I'm not going to choose, but that's how they are. Select if student has registered, select student has an appointment, so on and so forth. High school, SPGI codes, and there's a lot of options for high school here. Now, if there's something you want, right, just like the other forms, you click the insert. So you can add and you can define what you want to work in them. And then the bottom part here, the submission part, right? You want to save this. You can give it a name. So say you only want high school information from a certain county in Colorado or a certain district. You can set these up and save it, give it a name and a description, the parameter set that you want. The next one, the student summary report, one of my faves. Because you can define what information you want. Various types of students, this is the one that you define. When you create it and decide what you want, you come down to the submission part at the bottom and you save it, give it a name and a description, and it becomes yours. Unfortunately, the application query and room assignments are not set up yet. Student adjustment query, that is, you have to any adjustments. So if a student's application comes in and then maybe they adjusted it somehow, that's the query for that. I won't run that one. Student report. The student report. Let me run the student report real quick. And I'll just click. Because this is more of a global one. And again, you can create these for any type of student group or term or whatever you want. It's really up to you how you want to do these. Now, where all this is coming from is the last one on the list. It's called the process submission control form. You can decide, talking to, my guess is Brianna or Jennifer, and I'm not quite sure. So each one of these is a process maintenance, meaning this is a process that you can collect data from, the data that's in Banner by different categories. Right now, there are 1,027. So my guess is probably Pueblo or Fort Collins have been adding some of these along the way. So if you need a specific, I'm going to go to 30 here. If you need a specific type of information for a report, you can request it to be added here. The ones that I just showed you are on this list. I hope that helps thinking about how you could use the Banner tools now to customize for your specific area.